All right, the question. Mark, you keep using this term, VC tokens. What does that mean? I don't understand what you're talking about. So if I ever use the word VC tokens, I don't want to take it too literally. It's just a concept, because there are a lot of altcoins where they were funded with private money and then launched, and the early backers are the people, and a good portion of the tokens are set aside for those early backers, simply on the basis of they gave money up front. So now they get tokens on generally speaking, very favorable terms. There might be a lockup, there might be a vesting period or some other way to hold that back from market. But when the time comes to distribute these tokens, they're not being distributed on the basis of, like Bitcoin, where you get rewards for mining, for securing the network, or some of these other protocols where the rewards go to people who actually play a role and they contribute to the growth, stability, structure, and utility of throughput and all the other things that go into making a project succeed, that give a project a better chance of succeeding over time. Bootstrapping that network, getting people who are really committed and willing to make an investment, even if it's just an emotional investment. It doesn't even need to be a financial investment, but just going in and contributing something in return for these rewards. So instead of those tokens going to those people, the VC projects, some portion, a large portion, go to just people who were there at the beginning. And all they do, they just dump on the market. They just sell. And they don't contribute anything. They don't necessarily contribute anything. That's a broad, not all projects are like that. And not all projects that use that funding model have those sort of issues. But when I talk about VC tokens, it's that concept that I'm talking about, where these things, they just got a lot of private money, and the people who put in money up front, they expect to be paid out. And they may not really care so much about the protocol itself. They just saw it as a great opportunity to make money. They're not getting rewarded on the basis of anything they do from today into the future. They're simply getting rewarded because they put money at the front. And that dilutes the value of the token, because as you have more tokens come to market, that means the value of the tokens you hold get proportionately smaller. It's just like inflation. Just like inflation, the value of your currency goes down because more of the dollars or your quid, whatever you use, rupees, I don't know what your currency is, but whatever it is, more of those come into market, and that means the value of each one that you hold gets a little less over time, less and less and less over time. So you need to find a way to counterbalance that. And so it's hard enough to fight the market. Now in terms of the investment that comes in to grow the value of your tokens in the project, that's hard enough to fight against. Now you also have to fight against 35, 40, or 50% of the rewards going to people who really, they don't give an F. They're going to sell immediately. Once it hits their wallet, boom, they're selling. And so those are the tokens that I'm talking about. I don't want to be involved in those. Sometimes an idea is so compelling. It doesn't necessarily mean anything for the protocol, and doesn't mean that these projects can't succeed. I would just talk about when I say these VC tokens, I think you're going to see a lot of carnage and a lot of creative destruction in the VC token space, whereas these other protocols where the rewards go to people who actually contribute, those are the ones that I think are going to have a lot of durability and a lot of staying power as we move through the next, however many years, if that makes sense. But the only way to know that is to look at each project individually. Look at the way they raised money. Look at the terms of the treasury and the allocations of the tokens, and lots of other things it takes some time. It's not fun. Even so, there's still guesswork. Even after you do that, there's a lot of guesswork, and you can be as well informed and know all this stuff, and still the project it fails. And that happens. That's going to happen with a lot of these things. I would just make sure that you are aware of this idea of the VC funding model. And that's what I mean when I talk about VC tokens. It's not necessarily VCs, but just this idea of you put in money up front and then you don't have to care at all, as opposed to something like Bitcoin or a lot of altcoins where the reward comes from the actual contribution, not I gave you money I gave you money 2 years ago and now here's my reward 2 years later. Relax and enjoy the ride.